there, and welcome back to Japan and to the Baka Broadcast Baka Binge, where again I am taking over from James because it is time to check out some beer. That glass. This is just how lazy people wash. Ah, that's better. So today we'll be trying out this wonderful spring brew from the Abashiri brewery. A quick Google search will show you that actually they're quite famous for this blue variety of beer that I haven't actually seen before, but this looks like it's going to be more of a traditional one. I have no idea if it's going to pour green or anything like that, although we'll have to check it out. As you can see, Abashiri Brewery is from Hokkaido, hence the little Hokkaido stingray shaped map in the top of the label, and it's a fairly standard beer of a fairly standard strength. So let's give it a go. Yeah, I did just kind of realise that using a Sapporo glass for another Hokkaido brewery's beer is kind of taking the piss, but it's all beer in the end. Let's see what it looks like. Is it going to come out green? Now, I'm a bit colourblind, but that looks kind of green to me. Oh, wow, I wonder what this had felt like if I hadn't done the Google search first of all and found that blue beer of theirs. But check that out. Within a few seconds the head is already gone, but man, I might be colorblind, but I'm pretty sure that that's green. I'm not really sure how to feel about this. I feel like I'm about to sip some of it and get some kind of weird superpowers. Oh well, it's time to drink the green juice. Alright, just to tell you the truth now, I don't know if this is some kind of food colouring. I have to assume it is. It's got a bit of a light ale smell to it, which is never that promising. I always find light ales a little bit around the mouth, that's a technical word, and usually not that flavourful. Maybe a little bit limey. What-ho? I've got to be honest, this is not too bad. I don't know if it's something which makes it green or what, whether that's just a comical colouring or not, but it's actually surprisingly tolerable. It doesn't have that sort of dryness that light ales often leave, what they often call golden or white ales in Japan. I'm not actually sure if it's a technical term for all of them, but basically, you know, the pale ales. There you go. Real expert here. I do more drinking than I do talking about drinking. You know, it has this sort of sweetness that makes it a little bit nicer, makes it a little bit more flavourful. I can imagine this being something that a lot of people would enjoy. If you're into more fruity drinks, this would probably be a fairly tolerable way of going over to ales if that isn't usually your thing. And if you're not really a big fan of dark ales, this might be a way of trying it that doesn't leave that same sort of unpleasant dryness in your mouth. I'm more of a dark ale kind of person usually, and although this isn't exactly wowing me, it's not turning me away as much as usually a pale ale would. Now you see, if you pour it straight in, even without tilting the glass, that head is still not very strong there, so it's really not a very heady beer, which again is pretty consistent with it being a light ale. I think the more of this I'm drinking, the more I'm getting used to it. It is the fact that it doesn't have like a lingering aftertaste in the way that a lot of the pale ale competitors do. In fact, I do often wonder how much more I might enjoy pale ales, sorry I can't even speak now, how much more I might enjoy pale ales if they didn't linger so much with that dryness. So in all honesty, I've got to say, I think this is a pretty good beer. I'd be really interested to hear what more big fans of pale ales might say about it. I would say my review can probably be more summed up as someone who is a real beer drinker but not so much into this type of drink, and as I've kind of already said a couple of times in this review, I'm not wowed by it, but I certainly think it's quite drinkable. It's relatively refreshing as well, doesn't have a lingering aftertaste, has a nice little taste that sits in your mouth, then sort of seeps away. It was quite expensive. It's obviously from a smaller brewery, it's not, well I mean Sapporo is a big brewery and their stuff's quite expensive, but they're seen as a premium brand. But anyway, this is a smaller brewery, still fairly well known one from what Google's telling me, and from the little bit I've heard of their name bouncing around before I even tried this. This is my first taste that I'm aware of their beers. I might have had one previously without knowing, but this is my first knowing taste of an Abashiri beer, and yeah, so you can kind of expect it being a little bit pricey. I would say it's worth trying for the novelty alone. It's not got a flavour that's strong enough to put anyone off, but I think it's got some characteristics that could really make you think about it if you're a beer liker who maybe wants to try things that are a bit different, or maybe wants a different take on something that maybe they didn't like so much. So yeah, I think regardless of your taste in beer, I think this is a nice little one to try. Although I don't think anyone's going to put it as their number one favourite beer. I think it's more of a novelty, and that therefore justifies the one-off price a little bit better. So, you Backer Binge fans know how this works. James wants me to give this an out of 10 score. So what will it be? I always find these scores a little bit difficult to give, because do you mark it as a novelty or as something you'd have every day? I've got to be honest, I have to mark it as a novelty. I would say, because it's something that I do recommend people try. I do recommend people try this if you're a beer drinker, if you like your beer, because I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting one. It's not particularly too much like anything I've had before, whilst also being familiar enough that you can recognise it's a beer, that you can recognise it's an ale. So I would say, if I was sort of calling 5 average, I would probably give this a 6. Which for me means it's above average. It's worth checking out. It's not something I just pass by. It's not going to change the world. It's not going to blow your mind, but it might be an interesting little one to give a go. So I'm going to give it a happy, positive 6. 6 out of 10 for the Abashiri green ale. It's green on the can. It's green in the glass, even the slightly dirty one. And it's pretty nice in the mouth. So, until I hopefully see you guys very soon in Japan for either one of James's Backer Binges, maybe another Backer Binge from me, or for a bit of Backer Broadcast if you want to hop over to that channel to check out my music reviews. Until then though, for now, ciao ciao.